It's the movie where there's no question as to what the little girl's name is because it's said a billion times. It's Silent Hill on Gina Roger Talk
Silent
Movies.
Hill. We talked about this last week, and we're doing it.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, I think this is the movie that has the biggest budget. Because I did some research, and I think this movie had a production value of $50 million. I don't know what other movie we reviewed that had such a large... But usually horror movies are like, they're made for virtually nothing.
Mm-hmm.
With the whole idea is churn them out, you make them for nothing, and then they make a ton of money, a huge return on investment. But even this movie made a ton of money. I mean, worldwide gross is $120 million.
Still did not make its money back, though.
Yeah, it's just you got to double it more than that. But still, it made money. If they broke even, I'm sure they're making it back because they're kicking out the sequels. Yeah, and the video game franchise continues. So yeah. But as for the movie,
have you played the video games?
I have not. I'm not a big gamer. My son is a big gamer. So did you play the?
I was actually looking for the original copy I have of Silent Hill on PlayStation, and I couldn't find it.
PlayStation 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember playing Resident Evil on PlayStation 1 when I lived in LA. Yeah, I lived in El Segundo, which is right by LAX airport. It's right by the ocean. So, which is cool. It's at the beach every weekend. But but Silent Hill, didn't receive critical acclaim. Actually, critics panned it.
Because it sucks.
I don't hate it. Like the movie last week, Sydney Sweeney's movie, it's visually beautiful. It's just shot extremely well. The sets are just immaculate and how the movie's framed. And some of how the movie's framed, cinematography is I think so good that it kind of, to me, it overwhelms some of the movie's negativeness, and the movie is a lot like a video game. In a way, it's like the characters go from one harrowing scene to another, kind of like a video game. You go one here, a level, go here, another level, here, and level, and you got to do all these things within the levels, So especially the scene where she goes into the school. And the witchy woman, she tells her, you got to memorize the map. And that's total video game stuff.
Right. That was from the first one, yes.
Yeah. So do I hate this movie? No. Would I watch it again? Maybe.
So,
Roger, what do you think of this?
Well, I watched it for the second time ever just last night because I remember watching this thing the first time going, yeah, this movie sucks.
2006.
Right. And so I dragged dust off the DVD that I had purchased because I'm an idiot and throw it in and I'm watching.
Well, you had those three nuns plantation.
Those are all
movies.
classics.
You buy them all. They're not.
No, but I, big collector of physical media. So of course I had that on DVD, but I don't like this movie. And part of it could be because I did play the game and you're right. They do a lot of video game sequences in there. Why do they show the shot of her coming to the hospital? Well, because that's directly from the video game where, you're at this hospital and now you go in the doors and now here's this conflict. The only thing in this movie that I like is the fact that they were able to recreate the PlayStation look with the fog, so you couldn't see deep into this little town,
right?
Which was, of course,
which I thought was pretty cool. You got a lot of shots where you're just seeing the actor, and then it's just fog behind them. And I thought that was pretty spectacular.
Well, and it's cool because in the PlayStation hardware could not actually render all the stuff they wanted. So the video game director was like, oh, let's just make it fog. That'll be scarier. And then it'll go dissipate as the player walks, but it'll keep just pushing the fog back because the hardware couldn't handle what they were trying to do. And so I liked how they recreated that. But I think they made some big mistakes translating the video game to film, but they also just made big mistakes with this film. The massive exposition dump at the beginning of the film is absolutely laughable. Oh, hey, Sean Bean, my husband, let me tell you about this adopted daughter of ours that you already know this information, but I'm just going to randomly say it for no reason.
It'd be better if they just played the movie out and we just learn it.
Right. And the movie is 2 hours and 7 minutes long. And there's just too many scenes like that. And Sean Bean doesn't even need to be in the movie. No, all of his scenes could have been removed.
He doesn't do anything.
The only thing he does is make sure I remember what his wife's name is, because he, Rose. And of course, the wife, all she's doing is saying, Sharon. That movie drives me crazy with that.
Yeah, I don't know. The visual photography. I'm a Radha Mitchell fan for sure, but yeah, I can look. Somehow I look past that. I don't know. We all have our biases. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking past that. But again, it's a great Roger. You're totally right on all this. A lot of this movie could end up on the editing room floor to make it more into our 90-minute range, and it would have been a better movie for sure.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Well, and what are your thoughts on the fact that a lot of sequences are just CGI instead of practical? Those mutant children things at the beginning, I'm just like, oh, this is dating your movie too, because we're talking 2006 CGI and it looks terrible now. Well, it looked terrible then. It's really annoying now.
Did I hate it? Again, I didn't hate it. Like I don't know. Some movies, you're not too forgiving, but other movies you're forgiving. So I'm kind of on the forgiving side on this movie. Yeah, but just a lot of this, just cut a lot of stuff out. A lot of I like the religious themes that are going into here of judgment, and that it's easier to judge than actually try to find empathy. I think we see that in our society today a lot. Yeah,
every day.
Yeah, every day we're really exposed to that. Yeah, but yeah, Roger, again, I know you hate it, but I wouldn't be a wholehearted recommendation on this movie. But again, I wouldn't steer somebody away from it as well.
Well,
I'm lukewarm.
I think the visual aspect of it, and that if you look at contemporary critical reviews of it, that is the thing that stands out. It's really visually pleasing to look at. It's interesting. I think the story itself and just a lot of that expository dialogue sequences is like this.
Yeah, just cut all that out.
Right.
I agree.
And I think it does share some connections with other horror movies that I really like Phantasm, for example, where it's just random things happening and you don't really know why they're happening. So I kind of like that aspect of it.
With the guy, my son who knows the game, when the character appeared, that has like the triangular head, and he knows the name of that guy. Mm. But do you know the name?
I can't remember. Yeah. He was from the second one, I think.
The second game? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, but my son knew that guy. It's like, really? But I wanted to, in a way, see that guy again, but we only saw him in a couple scenes. But, again, some of the effects were not terrible.
Well, and
although some parts were, like, I got to say, were kind of ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Like, the movie kind of like tipped on the verge of tipping to the pure ridiculous side when those nurses appeared. I thought they were going to break out into like a dance sequence or something. It's and then, I don't know, is this movie scary on any level? No, it's not scary. But again, it's just more entertaining,
Well, I think this movie could be scary for someone who's not familiar with horror films at all, because it doesn't do a lot as far as here's a story and here's where we're getting engaged with the characters. Build. It's just we're in Silent Hill and a lot of creepy stuff is happening. Nothing is really explained. So I think someone who's not really engaged with horror, you would find it creepy and weird, and
good stuff. Horror normally follows that plot element where you reach a climax, but like I said, this movie is like a scene here, scene there, scene there, scene over here. Mm-hmm. But I do have to say, I also like the star power in this movie, like Radha Mitchell from Pitch Black, Man on Fire, Laurie Holden, you remember her, the police officer, she's a big character in Walking Dead. You watched The Walking Dead.
I did up until the Daryl's in the closet episode.
Yeah, Walking Dead really worked for me for a while, and then it just seemed to like, what are they doing? And so then I just stopped watching it.
Well, I think one of the benefits, and I always look for these episodes because there's always we've got to have a cost conscious episode where we don't spend a lot of money, and that episode where Daryl's in the closet for the entire episode is like,
that season.
That's where we saved some money on our budget.
Season 1, 2, maybe 3, the greatest thing, but then they just started really losing it.
Yeah, is it even still on?
Who cares? Okay. Oh my gosh, it's just they really started losing it. Yeah. Anyway, then Alice Krige she was the Borg Queen from Star Trek First Contact. I was like, my gosh. Then of course that Sean Bean, Lord of the Rings.
Well, and just completely wasted in this movie.
Yeah, I was like, he could have just hired anybody for that.
His primary line of dialogue is Rose.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, it's like I have a lukewarm endorsement. Go see it. It's not terrible.
I think some of the narrative problems with this movie, because if you look at the game, and maybe you should read the synopsis of the plot for the game, where everything kind of makes sense as to why they show up in Silent Hill. This one, has my wife just gone insane? She's just decided to take this child, drive completely insane, flee a police officer, crash the vehicle. It's explained much better in the game as to how they ended up in Silent Hill. And that cop in this movie, was she just waiting there for an entire day for her to come back to her car? Because she just shows up. I'm just like, this is so narratively just unstructured.
Yeah. Again, like I mentioned this last week, but I think humans have to behave like humans. And again, the beginning sequence where Radha Mitchell, she just takes off and is crazy. And then when she drives through the fence,
I know,
and there's a police officer behind her. And clearly she is not a criminal, right? But then she just leaves the scene, drives away, and the police officer's just right there. Of course, the police officer's going to chase you. That just doesn't fit with her character. Sure, she's a concerned mom, but up to this point in the movie, we as the audience, we're not privy to the level of her concern or her level of desperation. We're just not there yet. And then all of a sudden she's doing it and we're just like, what? It just doesn't make any sense.
And I love the concerned mother aspect of her where, okay, I'm going to be a complete idiot now. And hey, Sharon, put your seatbelt on. Buckle up. I'm going to drive through this fence and total this car.
Yeah. I was thinking that the guys who made this movie probably should have given her a bigger car, because that little SUV might not have actually crashed through that fence.
Right.
That fence probably would have won that contest.
Yeah.
I should put her in a big Escalade or something. Yeah. But yeah, again.
But I think the visuals, again, are the selling point of this film.
Yeah, visuals.
It's very wonky CGI. There's a little bit of practical effects here and there.
Not so bad on the CGI. For $50 million, even it's 2006.
Well, and this, I think, too, though, Gene, is kind of plays into your idea of when a studio kind of gets involved. Here's a bunch of money to make your movie. And this sometimes can be the thing, because this is one of those movies that really devolves into a lot of special effects. There's a lot of CGI on display here.
There is. Could we see studio executives just muddling? Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think sometimes a big budget doesn't mean your movie's going to be awesome, right?
Right. And we've talked about this theme before, that oftentimes in horror, a big budget actually means the converse, is that oftentimes it means that your horror movies are just going to be terrible. It's just going to miss the mark, because you lose coherency, you lose the building of tension, which is really true horror, which is really good horror. But yeah.
Well, and I think too, it forces directors to think outside the box of what they're going to do. This director didn't have to think outside any box. This is what I want to do, and we're just going to do it because I've got the money to do it. But other smarter horror movies where, hey, our budget is only $1.5 million. We want to do this cool thing. We can't do this cool thing, but we still want to convey the same level of fear. So we're going to do something different.
Be more creative.
Which suddenly becomes amazing.
Right, yeah, or be creative with your dialogue, or which this movie is not on any level.
No.
Yeah, it's pandering even. Yeah.
Yeah, so. It's how many times does this character say Sharon, and how many times does this character say Rose? And it's, dude, she's clearly not there. She's not responding to you. Why do you keep saying her name?
Yeah, and it also is like the character Radha Mitchell. She's running down the road yelling, "Yeah, somebody help me! Help! What? There's nobody there. Who are you yelling to?"
Well, and that's the thing too, though. With the video game, there were people there because the movie changes what Silent Hill is. In the movie, there was this underground coal fire. The town had to be abandoned. Lots of people died. That kind of thing. That's why the smoke is all around and all this. In the video game, it's the entire town does not know what's happening as this mist is kind of coming in and weird things start happening. So there's a lot of interaction with other characters in the video game that, I don't know, I just think the director should have maybe gotten closer to that vision of Silent Hill rather than the other.
Right. Yeah, I read a criticism or a review of this movie, and their take on the movie was that as the mom was driving, Radha Mitchell, and she went through the gate, somehow she entered a portal. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, and that's like what you just said with the video game, and in the town, you're actually in another dimension, or you've gone through the portal. And you're there, so you're not in our world. So that kind of analogy fits.
And the other really...
But it's not explained. Maybe they could have explained it better.
Well, and they end the movie with a complete weird ending as well. But yeah, I think in the video game...
A sequel ending.
Also, the Sean Bean character was actually the one looking for his daughter. Right? And so it's interesting how they changed that. And I don't know if it was like it'll be more tension-filled if it's the mother looking for her daughter or whatever. But I just thought that was an interesting choice that the director chose to do for reasons I have no idea why you would do that.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe this movie, like Last of Us, would have transformed better instead of into a 2-hour movie, which should have been 90 minutes, but maybe it would have been better as a limited series. Again, like Last of Us. Because the Last of Us video game and the Last of Us movie or show, TV series, both of them were pretty good. I like again, I didn't play the video game, but I saw my kid playing it. Of course, he loved it. Mm-hmm. And then, I watched The Last of Us, and yeah, it's good. It's good.
Right, and I would agree with that. Silent Hill would work much better as an 8-episode limited series or something like that.
You can explain all those little parts. Yeah.
Well, and you could actually, not only explain, but you could also have much grander set pieces with the triangle head guy and all this stuff. And
I wish well, my kid was late for work this morning. I forgot to ask him the name of that guy because he has a name. Well, but even more exposition on him. He was like a really interesting character.
Exactly. The fact that he had all those bugs all around him and all of that, and it was.
And
cool.
He had the big sword as long as this table. It's just like
at least as long as this table.
So why did this room?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah. But so I think popcorn horror movie. Yeah, maybe try it. It's not very good. I think if you played the video game, you're going to have difficulty with what the changes they've made with this movie. But overall, I'm not going to watch it again.
I probably won't either.
I would have never watched it again.
Do I hate it? No.
Had you not said, let's do it for this show. But
okay.
And I just think it goes back to, though, Gene, with the difficulty that studios, directors, writers have of bringing video games to film, right? I mean, the most successful one so far that I am aware of is kind of Sonic movies, right? Five Nights at Freddy's was pretty...
that movie was terrible.
Pretty successful. But some of these...
The Resident Evil franchise.
Right. Resident Evil is so far removed from the video games.
It is. But I like that attempt because it moves the movie away from the video game, although it keeps some elements, that keeps the core elements like, Raccoon City and all this stuff. So I like that. And
Well, and you got,
but that movie kind of is not great again, but it's okay. Let's say much more entertaining than this movie.
because they are super crazy movies for sure.
Yeah.
I don't remember which the 3D one was, but that one is just completely off the wall insane. Because if you've never seen a Resident Evil movie and you just choose that one as your first one, you will have no idea what's happening at all, because it just starts with action and it doesn't stop until they just decide to cut the film at the end, right? It's just
You're talking about the first one, right?
No, this would have been maybe the 4th Resident Evil movie or something.
You know, like I'm really only talking about the first one. I've never seen all those sequels.
The only one that absolutely sucks is the very last one, which is barely even a movie.
I'm not doubting it.
Yeah, it's amazing. But anyway, we are way off topic.
Yeah, we're way off topic. I don't know what we're doing. What are we doing next week?
I think it should be my pick this week, because I think this is week 3 that it's been Gene.
You're keeping count.
Well, just this once.
I never keep count when we do your horrible movies.
You made me see Nosferatu, and then it was...
That was not terrible.
And then it was Immaculate, and now Silent Hill, which I didn't want to see again, but I did. I took one for the team. So I think I should get to pick this.
All right.
Anyway, we'll see what happens next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey, I wanted to throw this out there. My wife, she went up to me the other day and she said, "Gene, I got to have constructive criticism." It's like, I think you interrupt Roger too much. And then actually we got a review that said that jerk, that Gene guy, all he does is interrupt Roger. So I don't know. I took a conscious effort today not to interrupt. Well, I tried to be better.
You did a fine job. Thank you so much, Gene.
Thanks. All right, so there you go.
We'll catch you next week.
Your comments are listened to.
Well, there was one comment that told me I sucked because I didn't like Nosferatu.
Oh, you said that?
Yeah, I liked his comment.
Oh, excellent.
The thumbs
yes,
up
all
on
comments are good. Yes.
Anyway, we'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.